Well, I'm more interested in your other pick to possibly come out of the West in the Golden State Warriors, because this is something I was definitely wrong about last week. I was really high on the Rockets' ability to defend the Golden State Warriors coming into this series. And honestly, I don't know if I was 100% wrong about that, because they did
Yeah.
make it a really scrappy and defensive game. And I'm not really sure the Warriors did that much on the defensive side of the ball, with like certain notable exceptions, to really fuck them up. I just thought this looks a lot like Ime Udoka's Celtics. Like I said to my buddy who was over for Easter, we were watching it, and I was like, honestly, I think they're probably gonna like play really scrappy defensively, get back in the game. They're gonna make a comeback, and then they're like not gonna be able to put it away because they don't prioritize half court offensive basketball in a way that gives them plays and options and guys that they can go to, which is down the stretch in close games what we saw happen across the entire playoffs this weekend. Every single game that you watched, like, Schroeder's pulling up from three. Your boy Russ, who I'm sure we'll talk about at length, considering your some of your sort of classic takes on the basketball side of things. There's savvy veterans coming off the bench, and because they have been at times in their career legit offensive players, some more than others, they're able to be relied on off the bench to like make big plays. Like, that's fine to have a role player come off the bench and do something cool. Or even if he starts and he's not that big of a contributor for the whole game. We saw it in every single game this weekend. So to me, I look at the Houston Rockets and I'm like, you made a team of all those guys, which
Right.
is super cool when you're like thinking about the sort of identity of your team, the nitty gritty of your team. And I'm not going to say that if I didn't get my way with the Celtics since we started building this team, since like say like the day we drafted Jaylen Brown, if I had gotten my way as I was contributing to the conversation of roster building with the Celtics, we would have probably ended up with a roster of all like giant, hardworking guys, like Steven Adams adjacent guys, or guys that I was calling for outside and inside of this podcast for years. So I like the way this Houston Rocket team is constituted. I like how much it reflects his identity, but he needs somebody in there that can
That can
go and get him
shoot.
a bucket. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just go like just to score in general, pure scoring. Like I don't see where it really comes from on a consistent basis. And this is a guy who basically, if we're being honest, looking at Tatum now and looking at Tatum when he first came into the team, I know it's sacrosanct around here to talk shit about Ime Udoka. I mean, I liked him as a coach, and I'm on the record that I didn't want him fired. But we're
Kind of
looking at a
worked
guy
out.
that it kind of worked out in the end. Yeah, it's just won a championship, no big deal. But this is a guy who maybe neutered Jason Tatum scoring a little bit, maybe encouraged him to play one-on-one, like on an island basketball a lot. That was very frustrating. We were kind of blaming Tatum for that, but that seems to sort of be the Ime Udoka brand of basketball. So, like, what did you make of this Houston Rockets performance? I mean, I don't know how many people were really watching them over the course of the season. I caught them a few key times, and I enjoy them, but I don't know. The Warriors might just have too much for it. Maybe Vegas was right.
Yeah. So the few times that I talked to Ray about them over the course of the season, I just kept saying like, why are people overlooking them? Because they feel like a team. Just on the few national games that I watched, that they can just lock anybody down. But the reason is that they just, as like you just so eloquently pointed out, if they're up against shooters, they're fucked. I mean, in this situation, they did all the things that we talked about last week. Like they can body them. They can make it difficult for Golden State, but they have to be able to keep up. And if again, not just with stats, if you shoot 6 for 30 for threes against the Warriors, you're going to lose. You're going to lose every single game. They out rebounded them by like, what was it? Like 18 rebounds total. So they were better on the boards. They were keeping up with them with assists. I mean, they did everything else right. They just shot like shit, especially from beyond the arc. And again, if you're going up against Steph Curry and you're shooting sub 20% from three as a team, you're fucked.
Yeah, man. I mean, Bobby and I were banging the drum for him on Thompson to be able to like run around after Steph because he had done it in the regular season, and he is actually an athletic freak. And I'm obviously not like out on him, but the Thompson brothers both had a tough weekend. Playoff Steph was something that we should have. It was boneheaded to get excited about that matchup prematurely, because playoff Steph is just like that's it's going to be okay, everybody. And I've heard people say like, can you really rely on this is the very pundity thing I've heard for the last couple of days, like, can you really rely on Steph to get you 35 like every single time? Like, if you need it. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, like to be actually totally honest with you, like,
Right.
yeah, no, you actually totally can. Only because he's done it a billion times. and
Right.
and it's just like, because of the way that his game is. And now like because obviously there was a loud contingent. There was a loud contingent on this show of like, guys, it's playoff Jimmy and Steph Curry. Like it really could be ugly out there. Like they really could just turn it on the Jets and like look like a super legit Western Conference team, especially with the parity in the Western Conference. We forget these seeds are loose over there. Like that 2 through 7 could have been anything for large points of the season. The Grizzlies were a fucking 2 seed at one point. You know how just ask a Grizzlies fan. They're basically hanging that banner over there. They're basically like, we're a 2 seed at one point, 24-25 season, 20, whatever our numbers are. But it's like, damn, dude. Like I don't know why I let that happen again. I don't know why I slept on these fuckers again. I like, especially the Jimmy Butler of it all, considering the situations that we've been with him over the years. That and Kawhi are the two scariest propositions for me for the C's
Yes.
coming out of the West. Like that, the Clippers and the Warriors would be the two I think I least want
Right. Well,
in the
because
context of the C's.
you got Butler doing on the Warriors what Clay couldn't do last year. He just ran out of gas, and
Yeah,
if Clay wasn't posting those goose eggs from three in that final series, who knows what we're talking about, going down. So I just think Draymond needs to step it up. But if there's one thing to worry about, if you're a Warriors fan, or if we want to kind of dissect them and maybe say that Houston has a chance, the Warriors had 14 bench points. That's not sustainable. That's really not sustainable in the playoff series.
yeah, that's true. But I just think that if the this is what Golden State did to Ime in the finals when he was the Celtics coach. Is if he's like, we're going to be scrappy and we're going to keep it close and then we're going to close. That's really hard to go up against a team that is, from their perspective, going, well, it's close and we have Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, two of the best closers that the NBA has ever seen. So, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to blow them out. Actually, like the way to beat the Warriors is to like go up really big on them early and put yourself in a position where it doesn't really matter the 2-man game that comes at you in the fourth quarter, because you're up so much by just like getting early half court buckets and defending really, really, really tenaciously at the start. But they can't seem to get that first part right. So yeah, I mean, it worries me that like we're gonna have a situation where Kerr and the Warriors of this era sort of own Ime Udoka. Like they just fucking are. They're just his daddy, and there's no way, especially now that he's in that conference. It's way worse for him now because he's just gonna get because that's gonna is what it's gonna look like. Does that look good for the Celtics? I think it kind of does. Where it's like, you know, look, like he's getting pantsed by this system and this star player and coach combination every single time. And then also Jimmy over there, like he must be having nightmares right now.
Well, but I mean, Ime took a bottom feeding Houston Rocket team and got them to a two
No,
seed in just
totally.
in 2 seasons, and all he needs now is just one scorer, like to your point. And this
That's
is
fair.
completely different. So I think if I were him, I would be counting my blessings that I entered the West at the tail end of Steph's reign, because if this was 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, his life would be a living hell.
You know, Steph just gives him nightmares, dude. Like I don't know what's
As it
gonna
should.
happen. But maybe it'll be different. Maybe it'll be different in game two. I mean, you never know. I just think it's a big slap to take that first game, to snatch that first game, I think. Not to say that home court's like as crazy important as it used to be, but it is still pretty important when you're in a situation against the certain teams. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think that the Warriors use it
they're
really
one of the
well.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that like I don't know, like would you consider Houston's home court to be like a scary, terrible place to go? I mean, I would think ours is, but it isn't statistically with this team. So I don't
Oh, I
know.
mean, it's a scary place for the Celtics to go in the
Yeah, I
playoffs.
know,
I mean,
I know.
but I don't think the reason why Golden State, like the home court, matters for them is because that's a fan base that's won a lot over the last 15 years, so
Hmm.
they know how to bring it. And I think as a fan base, you need to kind of build to that. So if Houston makes another run, maybe next year, then sure. But listen, no matter what happens in this series, I'm not writing off Ime. But it's become glaringly clear that Jimmy Butler when he turns it on, especially on this team, I mean, again, for me, it's them, it's the Wolves, and it all hinges on Kawhi. Like those are the three teams.
I thought that Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard were the two individual players that stood out to me the most over the course of the entire playoffs, and I include the pretty much the entire East. In that, I think the B tier two players that stood out to me the most were Brunson and Cunningham, and I think and the fact that they were playing each other like that seemed like a real one-on-one battle. Something that you can really kind of buy into the narrative of and be like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like this is a time to figure out which one of these two guys has it more. And I get the whole I get the whole kind of narrative you can sort of do with the Warriors and the Rockets because I was like trying to force it. I was like, yeah, they can get in their head, they can talk that shit. They're not going to get phased by Draymond Green talking shit, da da da. But then there's also like you have to play a game of basketball. And I think that's what's going to sort of come. It's going to come down to with the Rockets and the Warriors. I might be trying to pull out, get a stop loss on my Rocket stock, and then just go buy back into the old money. Like a lot of people do with the Kansas City Chiefs every year. So
By a lot of
to
people, you mean
me,
like you and me?
yeah, yeah. No, I try to start really early with them now. I should have been more aware of the Warriors. I think I had a little nagging thing in the back of my scratch in the back of my brain, and I didn't listen to it. That's what happens.
I
Okay,
mean,
let's talk Lakers.
one last thing. I think the whole theory around can Steph keep this up is it's not what he does when the ball's in his hands. It's all the movement when he's just trying to get open. And we've never really like we've seen Ray Allen slow down. We watched Ray Allen slow down, but when he gets to the Heat, it was like, oh, if the focus isn't on him, he can still slip through and hit those game-winning wide open threes, and that's what Steph Curry's going to do, and he can do now because someone else is getting all the attention, aka Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought Jimmy's shot at the end was really cool. That just like little cross up where he just basically hit the dagger. I was like, yeah, it's so much actually more fun to watch when he's in the West because like it's not really our problem yet. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot that has to happen for us to see Jimmy Butler now, and I'm not saying it won't happen, but not a lot of shit used to happen for us to see Jimmy Butler in the playoffs in the East.
Right.
So I'm actually pretty thankful, to be honest with you. But like I said, like them and the clip show would definitely be my two biggest fears for matching up with someone in the finals. Not that I'm overlooking anyone in the East, except I'm gonna just spoil the second half of the show. I am overlooking everyone in the East. It's just that's actually what's happening over here in Camp David. So let's go